Welcome back to our discussion on liberalism, on liberal IR theory, and mainly focused on the issues of integration, the issues of interdependence, of a complex interdependence of states, which leads to greater cooperation and which basically is something which was successful, which has been successfully practiced in countries of Western Europe, North America, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, uh, modernization, industrialization, greater interaction, economic cooperation and interdependence. This leads to a greater understanding among the states, and they come together to form various regional or international organizations. But we also saw that despite all these possibilities, realism does not become totally irrelevant. Realism, which focuses on the primacy of states, which focuses on the need of security and survival of the states, so it doesn't become totally irrelevant. Uh, Another school of liberalism is called institutional liberalism. Uh, During our early lectures, initial lectures, we saw how during the first 2 decades of the 20th century, the American President Woodrow Wilson comes out with his idea of international cooperation, of international organizations. He basically believes in transforming the international relations from a jungle of chaotic power politics to a zoo where the behavior of states is regulated and the possibility of peaceful interaction, intercourse among the states is possible. So, this was institutional liberalism of the early 20th century, mainly championed by American President Woodrow Wilson, but we have also seen how during 1920s, 30s and 40s, this type of institutional liberalism, international liberalism, uh, it was partly discredited or delegitimized because of its inability to prevent the Second World War, and because of the fact that even though based on international liberal ideals, the League of Nations was created, but the League was not successful in maintaining global peace. And therefore, after the end of Second World War, liberalism witnessed a partial decline, and realism, which basically believes in primacy of states, which talks about anarchy in the international system, which talks about power politics, which talks about great powers and balance of power. So, in the post-Second World War period, realism was the dominant IR theory. However, uh, after 1970s, during 80s, 90s, liberalism saw a revival. Of course, the modern era liberals, the current liberals, present day liberals, are less optimistic about qualitative transformation of international relations. They do not make claims of international peace like the early liberals, Woodrow Wilson mainly, made during early 20th century. So, the present day institutional liberals are somewhat more guarded and sober in their assessment of international situation and in propagating the chances of cooperation among and within regions and among states. They basically talk about international institutions, and these institutions can be organizations such as United Nations or European Union or WTO. These can be regimes also, a set of rules which govern the state action. So WTO in fact falls in the realm of regimes. There can be many other set of rules and regimes. So they say that these organizations, whether they are institutions or regimes, they are not scraps of paper, or they are not handmaidens of strong states of great powers. They have an international presence. They have an independent agency of their own. They can promote cooperation between states. Some of these can be without formal organizations. There can be formal organizations like UN or European Union or WTO, but there can be less formal organizations. For example, the law of seas. There is no formal organizations, but it was negotiated and many countries follow it. Institutions. These institutions can be universal, like the United Nations. Many of these institutions can be regional, like European Union or ASEAN. So institutions can be formal and informal. Institutions can be universal or regional, and institutions can mean both. Formal organizations or a set of rules and regimes which govern the action of states or interaction among states. The role of international institutions becomes very important, and the international institutions basically, the study of international institutions that can be done through behavioristic and scientific approaches. These can be quantified. Also, empirical measurement of institutionalization among states can be done. I mean, how much institutionalization has actually taken place can actually be quantified, can be empirically measured. The scope of this international institutions, it concerns a number of issue areas in which there are institutions. These institutions can be in the realm of trade, investment, other forms of economic cooperation. These can also be in the realm of military and socio-political arenas and areas. So international institutions can be concerned with various types of issues, including trade, investment, technological cooperation, or even cooperation in political and military fields or socio-political areas. The depth of institutions, or rather institutionalization, how much institutionalization has actually happened, it can be measured in three ways. There can be three measures to gauge the depth of institutionalization. One is commonality, the degree to which expectations about appropriate behavior and understanding about how to interpret actions are shared by the members of the institution. The second can be or is specificity, the degree to which expectations are clearly specified in the form of rules. So this is very important, because unless these are clearly specified or enumerated in the form of rules, there will be confusion, and basically institutionalization will suffer. And thirdly, autonomy, the extent to which the institutions can alter its own rules. So the institutions need to have sufficient autonomy by which these institutions, I mean the member states or members of these institutions, states or otherwise, they should have enough autonomy by which they can change the rules which govern them. The success of institutions can be seen in Western Europe, especially after the end of the Cold War. The Cold War was a very difficult time. But even during the Cold War, these institutions acted as buffers which helped to absorb the shocks of the Cold War, and they could somehow deal with the various issues that Cold War had thrown up. We are talking about the times from 1945 to 1990. This was the time when the Cold War was at its peak, and when the world was divided into two blocks which were engaged in competition with each other. These blocks were both military blocks as well as ideological blocks. They were based on different notions of political and socio-economic organization. So even during those decades when Europe was engaged in Cold War, these institutions helped in absorbing the shocks of the Cold War and the shocks which the end of the Cold War resulted in. For example, the reunification of Germany in 1989-1990, that was a challenge in itself. But institutions, for example, the European Union or NATO, they played an important role in tackling the issues during the Cold War, and which the end of the Cold War threw up. Of course, as against the idea of these institutional liberals, which believe that institutions play a very important role in reducing and minimizing the possibility of conflict, and in promoting international cooperation, in promoting international well-being and economic prosperity. As against them, there are neo-realists who give a critique of liberal institutionalism. The neo-realists basically say that the end of Cold War is likely to bring instability to Western Europe. Neo-realists like Mearsheimer, they have come out with a very solid critique of liberal institutionalism. They believe that during the Cold War there was relative peace in Europe. There was no major conflict or conflagration between 1945 and 1990, and even subsequently. But mainly during the Cold War, conflicts could be avoided because there was a balance of power, because the world was bipolar, because there were two power blocks who basically checked and balanced each other, and both the power blocks had nuclear weapons. So they could, even in the nuclear field, there was a balance of power or balance of terror. But because of that balance of power, because of bipolarity, because of nuclear deterrence, there was relative peace during the Cold War. The neorealists believe that with the end of Cold War, with the end of balance of power, with the end of bipolar world, much of the stability that Europe witnessed during the post Second World War period, during the Cold War period, will not be there. So, neorealists believe that multipolarity, which is replacing bipolarity, so end of bipolarity, early 1990s led to a unipolar world during 1990s, but in the present century, it is multipolarity where there are multiple centers of power, military power or economic and technological power. Now, this multipolarity, according to neorealists, leads to instability and insecurity. So, the bipolar world was more predictable. There was balance of power leading to relative peace and security, whereas multipolarity leads to loss of that predictability and increase in instability and insecurity among states. The root cause of all instability and insecurity, according to Mearsheimer or other neorealist thinkers, is the anarchic structure of international system, where the states are unto themselves. The states do not have trust among themselves. They do not trust the other states. They have to fend for themselves. Each state is responsible for its own survival, and in such a situation, peace, security suffers, and instability and insecurity increase. So, this is the neorealist critique of liberal institutionalists, and this neorealist critique was given by Mearsheimer. However, Mearsheimer's ideas were countered by many of the liberal thinkers and institutionalists. For example, they say that institutions reduce the destabilizing effects of multipolarity, reduce the risk of emanating from anarchy, for example, is reduced because of institutions. The institutions do so, perform this positive function by providing a flow of information. They provide a forum, a platform. They give opportunity to various states, to international actors, to organizations, to negotiate and to resolve outstanding differences. So, these institutions, according to liberals like Johann, they provide information and also a platform and forum to negotiate and resolve issues. These institutions also enhance the ability of governments to monitor the compliance of other governments and also to implement their own commitments. So, if they have right information, they can also come out with expectations and commitments which can be fulfilled. So, this enhances the ability of governments to monitor their own commitments and also to monitor the compliance of the commitments of others. These institutions create a climate and condition in which the expectations of stable peace develop. So, because there are institutions which provide platform for their members to negotiate, they enhance the ability of the governments to monitor the action of other states and also to implement their own commitments. By doing so, they create a climate in which the expectations of stable peace develop. Joseph Nye talked about it. Liberal institutionalists basically counter the arguments of neo-realists by arguing that international institutions or regional institutions play a very constructive and positive role in minimizing conflict and in providing platform to states to negotiate and then thereby bring about peace. There are various recent developments in this regard. For example, there are theorists who talk about the role of state interests. Liberal intergovernmentalism, which believes that states do play a very important role and therefore intergovernmentalism is important in achieving international cooperation. There are neo-functionalist theory which focuses on international cooperation driven by functional challenges. So there is certain states perform certain type of functions, certain institutions perform certain functions. There are other institutions performing other functions. So, and this basically leads to greater cooperation. There is also a revised analytical framework which combines both intergovernmentalism and the functional elements, and it basically says that leadership of the states, that the political systems, for example, democracy, that the legitimacy of the governments, these are also very important factors, and they also play a very important role. So, this is how we have seen how liberal institutionalism has taken various forms, and different thinkers emphasize on different aspects on the role of states or non-state actors, the role of leadership, the role of political institutions, of democracy. They all can be very critical elements in liberal institutionalism or in promoting liberal institutionalism. I hope and believe that this was a very clear enunciation of the ideas of liberalism. In subsequent lectures, we will discuss some of the remaining issues relating to liberal IR theory. Thank you very much. There is a set of readings. Those of you who want can consult them. Thank you once again.